Alright, on the last video, I left off showing you how to get the 4-point garbage mat onto video track 2, adjusted in the effect controls, so that you have two clones in the output monitor. Now, I want to go through the process of putting in the explosion and a title, and possibly some music too. Alright, first let's do the explosion. That's the hardest part. To import the explosion, I'm going to go to File and Import, and then under the Import menu, look for my explosion video and open it. Now I could double click the explosion and drag it from the preview monitor into my window, and that would certainly work. Or I could skip the preview monitor altogether and drag it directly from the project area into the timeline onto video track 3. I'm going to go from the preview monitor this time, drag it into the timeline. So as I play it here, you see me talking, and then there's an explosion, and then the movie ends. And what I'd like to see is instead of this black screen, I'd like to see the video. There's an effect called Luma key that we can use to pull out or key out the black part of this video. So I'm going to type in Luma under the effects area in the lower left hand corner, and I'm going to look for Luma key. Luma key is right here. I'm going to click and drag it onto the explosion clip in video track 3. And immediately you see that Luma key has extracted all the black out of the video. I could go under effect controls and under Luma key mess with some of the options. What it looks like here is really good for what I need. Now there's another thing. The video or the explosion happens and I'm still there, and then I randomly disappear. It would be best if during the explosion I disappeared so you didn't see me disappear, and so it looked like I really blew up. To do this, I'm going to need to zoom in. So down at the bottom, I'm going to click and drag on this rectangular or square control, and it zooms into that part of the timeline. I'm going to grab onto the playhead here, this little yellow triangle, and drag it forward to the point where the explosion is totally covering my body. At this point, video track 2, I'm going to slide this end back, trim the end back so that it meets with where the explosion is covering my body. Now after this point, video track 2 will no longer be visible, hence it'll look like I have disappeared. So let's watch that in real time. Alright, and so there you have it, the explosion of me, and then I disappear. Now let's put a title onto our movie. In the project area in the upper left hand corner, I'm going to click on this new item button. It looks like a post-it note. I click on it and I click on title. I can name my title and click OK. And now I get this window, this title creation window. I'm going to click on one of these text styles down in the lower window, and then I'm going to click on the main window here and type my title. I can move my title around by clicking on the cursor in the upper left hand corner and move the title where I want it to go. Once I'm done creating my title, I can click on the close button here, and the title is in the project area. Now I can take it from the project area, drag it onto video track 3, and I'm going to have my title at the beginning here. So at the beginning, you see that there's no black video here. It just has the title, Granlund Goes Boom, at the beginning. You see the clones talking with each other, and then one of them explodes. Now the last thing I want to do is add a little bit of music. To do that, I'm going to import a music file. So I'll go to wherever I've saved my music and find a music track here and click Open. And just like I did for the explosion, I'm going to drag this audio track down into the bottom here. But it looks like I'm all out of audio track space. Not to worry. If I drag it below the master track, it'll automatically add an audio track 4. Now I want the audio track to end right here because it looks like it goes on for quite a long time. I can zoom out and slide the track back, or I could go over to here and use the razor tool to cut the track at that point where it meets the end, and then right click and clear the remaining file. My movie is now over and I want to export it. I'm going to go to File, Export, and Media. For my purposes, I want you to export in the FLV format. This keeps a small file size and gives me enough, I can recognize the video enough that I can play it and know what's going on. So we're going to go down to FLV for Flash Video. And on the output name, I'm going to click on Sequence 01. I'm going to come up with a better title for that. We'll call it Intro Project. It's always best to name your files after the project that it's going to be turned in for. It's easier to find and it's less confusing for me. Okay, Intro Project. And we'll click Save. This all looks good, so I'm going to click Export. Now the computer is going to go through the process of rendering the video file so it can play as one video file. The last step is to turn this into Blackboard. Now that I've created my file, introproject.flv, I can go back to Blackboard. And here it has Intro Project Turn In. I click on that, and I'm going to go to Browse My Computer. And this is where I'm going to find my intro project.flv. Now it's important that you find the .flv file type. Click Open, and then Submit. If you ever have any questions as to whether or not it's submitted, you can always go back into Blackboard and double check after the fact, or you can ask me. And that is how you do your intro project.